In this section, I'm going to teach you how to build a simple, personal psychological first aid kit to use at times of your own distress. Building a mental first aid kit can help invalidate your distress and therefore forms an essential part of looking after yourself at a psychological level, something many of us fail to do. You might like to ask yourself this question: what do I do to help look after my emotions, mental health and well-being? Can't answer? Time to start looking after yourself. So you don't have to wait to experience anger, distress, anxiety or depression to benefit from a mental first aid kit. Instead, it can be used as part of your self-care regime and be a just-in-case external helper. You might be wondering how an emotional first aid kit can help you. Well, let's apply it to a physical situation first. You know the green bag in the drawer with the white cross on, the plastic box, the first aid kit which you don't give a second thought to unless something happens, and then it does. You're in the kitchen, you cut your finger. What do you do after you've screamed hysterically and then ran it under the cold water tap, waiting for the blood to stop running down the plug hole? Chances are you'll reach for a first aid kit or some similar type of box which holds your poorly items so you can fix the problem. I know it sounds obvious, doesn't it? We take physical first aid for granted, that it will attend to physical hurt, but our psychological pain also requires treatment, which generally we ignore. And if you can treat and take care of your physical cuts and bruises, then making a mental health first aid kit will help you take care of your emotional hurts as well. When we feel really upset, being expected to think in a rational manner is extremely difficult, and it is at these times when we are likely to use unhelpful or destructive behaviours. Those behaviours that post-incident can leave us with a whole load of undesirable emotional baggage, including anxiety, anger, guilt and/or heightened emotions, which often lead to us believing we're losing control, or in extreme cases going mad. Developing a way of managing that distress before it gets out of hand can prove extremely useful. Hence, the mental health first aid kit is as important as your physical one. Okay, let's build it. First thing, keep the kit in a noticeable place where you can reach easily, and at times of distress and/or upset, you'll be able to find something to help you get through the difficult period, albeit temporarily. Remember, it won't change things. You'll have to do that for yourself. But your mental first aid kit might offer some immediate relief to the intensity of your upset and manage your emotional distress in a more helpful way while you think about what you need to. You'll need the right type of container. It could be a bag or a box. Try to find something that has special significant meaning for you if you can. Alternatively, you might decide to make something using materials that are personal to you. The thing I would stress is individuality, so I'm only making suggestions, but the ultimate finished item will be unique. When I look through my personal psychological first aid kit, it's loaded with different things to help me get through stressful times. Some of the things may appear insignificant to an outsider, but for me they are really helpful. So I guess what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter what you choose to put in. If it's going to be helpful, then use it. If not, ditch it. Now it's time to collect those things that are important to you. Items that will be helpful, ground you, or provide comfort during times of crisis. Don't just include items that will deal with one particular sense. Remember, we have 5 of them to address: hearing, smell, touch, sight and taste. Be imaginative and have a variety of items that appease them all. I'm going to read a quote by Denis Diderot, 1713 to 1784. When writing about the senses, he reminds, "We are all instruments endowed with feeling and memory. Our senses are so many strings that are struck by surrounding objects and that also frequently strike themselves. So it makes sense to work with the many strings." So we start now to compile our kit, which will provide self-soothing resources using our 5 senses. I'm going to start with touch, but it doesn't matter where you start. There are endless objects you could include in your first aid kit. Here's a few ideas to get you started. Soft woolen items, a special teddy bear, feathers, a ball of hair from your beloved pet, pebbles, grounding objects such as hand or foot lotion, bubble bath, massage oil. Now what about smell and or taste? You've probably already experienced the powerful effects of smell and the way certain smells can trigger memories, transport you to different times in your life and impact on your thoughts and feelings. Sometimes this powerful sense can be positive and at other times can have a negative effect. Using it to help you can be very beneficial, and therefore it is important to choose smells where you can that help you to feel good. It's your turn to think about what you may include. Okay, carrying on with the 5 senses, and we're on to taste. Special sweets, chocolate in sensible amounts, dried fruits, nuts, coffee beans, cocoa, the list will be endless and personal to you, but think about those tastes that evoke special memories and transport you to a less distressing situation. I'm on to vision next, and there's so much material you can put in your first aid kit: imagery, photographs, pictures and beads, stones, books. In fact, a whole gamut of material, which of course you'll soon realise connects to other senses as well, demonstrating what Diderot said. I'll read it again. We are all instruments endowed with feeling and memory. Our senses are so many strings that are struck by surrounding objects, and that also frequently strike themselves. So it makes sense to work with the many strings. Hearing next. Special music, a recording of a particular voice, talking books, birdsong recordings, and again I've only offered a snapshot of what's available because it's a unique mental first aid health kit, and therefore holds precious and personal self-soothing items which link to your hearing. It's also important to notice what's around you. It's important that when you use items from your mental first aid kit, that you become aware of your physical senses. Look around you, notice what you hear, what you can smell, what you can touch. That's in addition to the items chosen from your special container. Here's something to get the senses of smell and the imagination going. It's from Tom Robbins, Wild Ducks Flying Backward. This is what he writes. I want to travel on a train that smells like snowflakes. I want to sip in cafes that smell like comets. Under the pressure of my step, I want the streets to emit the precise odour of a diamond necklace. I want the newspapers I read to smell like the violins left in pawn shops by weeping hobos on Christmas Eve. I want to carry luggage that reeks of the neurons in Einstein's brain. I want a city's gases to smell like the golden belly hairs of the gods. And when I gaze at a televised picture of the moon, I want to detect, from a distance of 239,000 miles, the aroma of fresh mozzarella. Now there are other items to include in the mental health first aid kit that will not only provide a soothing effect, but will help you to look outwards and use up some of the pent-up physical energy. Okay, so at times of distress they might seem a bit crass, but well worth including when you're feeling on top of the world and able to think straight. You could include a puzzle book, something from a hobby, for example, a piece of furniture from a doll's house you're constructing, a reminder to practice your violin or other musical instrument, notebook and pen. Additionally, you could include items that will help with your current unhelpful patterns of thinking and feeling, such as positive affirmation cards, reminders of websites you are always thinking about looking at but never get round to, the list of letters you've got to write, unread self-help therapy leaflets, ideas and prompts. Oh, and when you move beyond your current distressed feeling, why not write a positive letter to yourself, keep it in your kit, and read it when you feel at your lowest. It might go something like this. Dear me, I know that I'm a good person, able to make decisions. look after myself, stay motivated and positive. At times when I feel low, I know that it will pass, and I have friends who like me and want to be with me. I want to remind myself that when I was writing this letter I was smiling, the sun was shining, and I felt good in myself, and so on. Remember, even if you rail against any of the things I've mentioned here, you could always design your own personalised box of in-the-minute fixes. Those things that could offer some immediate relief to the distress you're experiencing. This is what someone told me. I carried a weather cone in my pocket, and at times when I felt distressed or emotionally upset, I'd place it in my palm and gently squeeze it so that the rough edges acted as a reminder of the places I love so much. Make some items in your mental first aid kit transportable, and just like the example above, you could decide to borrow from it by placing several items in your pocket as an emergency just-in-case scenario. I wish you the best of luck in constructing it and would remind you to stay creative.